Greetings, kings and queens who are here today for this Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis live broadcast. Greetings, everyone. Happy Sunday to you. And thank you so much for tuning in for today's live. Um, I'm super happy to be sitting here right now because I am excited about what I am going to be sharing here today. Uh, I will start off by saying that I called today's live 5 Lessons in 5 Years, the anniversary edition, because it is the first live broadcast that I have had since the platform celebrated its fifth anniversary. So, a round of applause for that. Yay! Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis is now 5 years old. And I have to tell you guys, I am a little bit stunned at how the time has just flown by. Like I am I'm almost a little speechless because how did 5 years go by so quick? It has been a whirlwind. Um and I am grateful. And that's the reason why I called today's live broadcast 5 Lessons in 5 Years, because I want to share with you literally 5 huge lessons that I have learned over the course of the last 5 years. Um, and oh, thank you guys. I see all of the the greetings in the chat section. Greetings, Queens, Monique, Anju, Saran. I see you. I see Four Elements United in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Because the platform really is here and has gotten to this point because of you guys, the followers. When I started this platform, I don't think that I had fully envisioned what it had the potential to be. I mean, I think I had an idea of where it could go because I've seen other people create similar platforms and I've seen them grow and turn into like huge movements. I guess maybe my faith at that time was not where it should have been, because even though I was starting it, I think I had not fully envisioned what it had the potential to become. I now see what it has the potential to become based on where I have gotten in the 5 years that have gone by. Um, and so I'm excited. I'm excited for what I have accomplished so far over the course of the last 5 years. And I'm excited for where the platform is going because I now can see where it has the potential to go. And I am here for it. I am ready to take it all the way. So I invite you all to stay with me for the journey as I watch Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis just bloom and turn into the movement that it has turned into, right? So before I share my 5 lessons in 5 years, which is what I came on to talk about today, that's the topic. Let me give a little disclaimer, and that is that these lessons are based in my personal experience. This is my experience and the lessons that I have gained from these experiences that I have had. And so I say this to say that perhaps what I say may not be applicable to everybody because maybe you have not had similar experiences to me. maybe what I say, you may not be able to relate to it. It won't resonate with you because perhaps you are walking a different path and have been walking a different path. The point is, I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying, well, this is how my life is supposed to go because this is how it went for her. I am simply sharing my own journey and what it has taught me. And if you can get something from it, then I would be so grateful. If it resonates with you, great. If not, that's okay, right? Because it just means that perhaps you're on a different path, and that is perfectly fine. We are not all here walking the same path, and we're not meant to all walk the same path. So it's completely okay, right? Okay, so let's get into it. All right. So the first lesson that I want to share, number one, that I've learned is that purpose literally can keep you alive. Purpose keeps you alive. And I mean that in a literal way and also, I guess, figuratively as well. And here is why I say that. When I created Always a Queen back in 2018, in May of 2018, I was, wow, I think I would say that I was probably in one of the darkest seasons that I have lived through in my life. I've lived through several dark seasons in my life. There have been many seasons that have been painful and dark and just really difficult. And 2018, the year 2018 was one of them. I'm not even going to specify a particular time during the year. It was just that entire year was crazy. Um, Really, really hard year in my life. Um, I won't even get into all of the things that were happening in 2018. Maybe I can do that in another live because that's a whole thing. But it was rough. It was rough. And it was during that season that I created this platform. I remember just sitting on my bed one day. Um, I remember exactly where I was. I remember where I was living at that time. I can literally picture myself in the room. As I talk about it, I get emotional because whew, it was so crazy what was going on at that time. And I can picture the room, the bedroom that I was in, the bed, everything in the room. I can see it in my mind's eye. And I sat on my bed with my laptop on my lap. And I just decided I'm going to create a Facebook group. And I did it for me. I didn't do it for anyone else because in that moment, I needed a distraction. I needed motivation. I needed something to keep me going, to literally keep me alive. I was really, really depressed and just, I felt like I was at the end of my rope. It was that kind of feeling that I was experiencing, and I needed something to keep me going. And I thought to myself, I'm going to create a Facebook group and maybe people will join this group and I will post motivational things in the group and maybe it will help me somehow seeing other people being encouraged. Um, Maybe it will catch on. maybe it will turn into a situation where we can all support one another. I don't know exactly what the full extent of my thought process was, but it was under those circumstances that I sat down and created the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. And I truly believe that it gave me a reason to keep getting up every day for a long time when I felt like I didn't have any reason to keep getting up in the morning because it was that hard. And that is the reason why I say purpose can keep you alive. Because, quite frankly, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't find some method of escape. And I know that it's strange, but for me, a method of escape out of my own struggles has always been helping other people escape their struggles. That has always been a means of escape for me, which is I know a little wild, but it's true. Helping other people out of their struggles has been like a bomb for me, when I have felt like my own struggles are choking me and I don't know what to do. Um, and I guess it's a gift as well because I I'm good at that. I'm so good at it. And so I know that I am gifted to do it, to help other people carry their burdens, even when I am so burdened myself. I don't think everyone has that capacity, but I seem to have that capacity. I do that really well. You would not know what I am going through while I am helping you with what you are going through. And I have become more and more skilled at it as the years have gone by. Um, and I think it keeps me alive. It literally does. I believe with all of my heart that this is my gifting, that it is my purpose, that it is my calling. And I believe that it has kept me alive through some of the worst situations that you can imagine, that are sometimes going on in the background in my life that nobody knows about. Right. And so that is lesson one that I want you to take away today. Purpose keeps you alive. When you feel as if you are at the end of your rope and you have no reason, like why am I even here? What is the point of this? I feel as if my life has no meaning. You know, all of those thoughts that usually come to you whenever you are at a low point. Purpose is like a miracle that can pull you out of that. Find something that brings you purpose in your life and pursue that. Channel all your energies into that. It is a game changer. I promise you, and I speak from my own experience, not from what anybody told me. I didn't read this in a textbook. This is literally my life and how it has unfolded. Um, I see. I'm going to pause and share some of the comments in the chat section, from Saran. Saran says, I'm glad you created this page, and I am glad you followed the page when I created it. Thank you. Um, she says, I've been following since then. Yeah. And you have actually, I think you might have been one of the first persons to like the page when I created it back in 2018. Um, and the quotes you started off sharing motivated me during my own challenges. And that was the goal. That was the precise goal. Just that, to motivate people to push through. And like I said, in reality, it was for me because I needed a reason to push through. And Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis provided that for me. So that was lesson number one. 5 lessons in 5 years. That was number one. Number two. Number two is loneliness makes you strong. That's number two. Loneliness makes you strong. And I know you're probably looking at your screens like, what? What is she saying? Right? Because you hear people talking about things making you strong. Like, for example, I have heard people say, being broke can make you strong. Going through a period where you don't have any money turns you into a really strong, tough person. They say heartbreak can make you strong. Um, going through trials in general makes you a stronger person. And I agree with that. I do agree. Going through tough times and trials definitely strengthens you. You do not come out the same. You do come out stronger and tougher and wiser and all of those things. So I 100% agree. But I don't think I've ever heard anyone say loneliness makes you strong. And I feel like we need to add loneliness to that list of things that makes you strong, because I am telling you, this is one of the lessons I have learned over the last 5 years. Being alone, it, listen, especially when you are going through a hard time, when you're going through tough times and you're having those, this is the end of my rope situations, and I don't feel like I can survive kind of situations, like really tough times. Um, and then on top of the fact that you're going through the tough times, you also realize that you're doing it by yourself. You have nobody but yourself to depend on. Ooh, folks, listen. That makes you strong. That when you look around and you realize it's really just me. It's me and God. There is literally nobody that can pull me out of the hole I am in right now. If I don't pull myself out, it's a wrap. Like when you realize that, I'm sorry, the tears are now making my nose run. So when you have those moments, and I am telling you, friends, I've had some moments like those even before the last 5 years, but I'm talking 5 lessons in 5 years, and this is one of them for sure. When you recognize that you truly have to do what that phrase says and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, save yourself, because nobody is there to save you. I think this is true strength. Loneliness, not just physical loneliness, because this is bigger than just being alone physically, as in you're in the house by yourself or in a room by yourself. It's bigger than that, because you can experience loneliness even though you are surrounded by people. You could be in a room full of people and still feel loneliness because you realize none of these people care what happens to you. None of these people have your back. None of these people really care if you wake up tomorrow or not. They don't care if you eat. They don't care if you have a cold. They don't care if you broke. They don't care. And sometimes that's the kind of loneliness that we might endure. And That, I think, to endure that and manage to thrive, not just survive, but thrive, I think that is real strength. I think it is probably the hardest kind of strength. And that is a lesson. That's lesson number 2 that I have on my list from the last 5 years. Yeah. On to number 3. Lesson number 3. When things don't work out for you, count it a blessing. I have learned this lesson repeatedly, over and over and over during the course of the last 5 years. When things don't go the way you planned or the way you want, when things don't work out for you, when you're not getting what you wanted, when it looks like everything is falling apart and your life is burning to the ground, count it a blessing. Because I have learned, and like I said, I'm speaking to my experience and my lessons. And if they resonate with you, perfect. But I have learned, it has been my experience, friends, that every single time, and I mean without fail, every single time that I have cried because something is not going the way I planned it, or not working out the way I wanted it to, or it looks like everything is falling apart and I am in despair. I promise you, friends, every time I have turned around, and this another one is going to make me cry. I'm going to cry a lot in this broadcast. I'm sorry, guys. But every single time, and I mean it, it is wild. But every time I turn around and I thank God that things did not work out. I am not kidding you. It blows my mind as I sit here talking about it. It literally blows my mind, but it is true. Nothing that has gone wrong have I ever come back and said, gosh, I still wish that thing had happened. No, in time, in time, it may not happen immediately, but in time, I always end up being grateful that whatever it is didn't work out. Even though when it didn't work out, I was crying real tears and really distressed, truly distressed and broken about it. In time, I always circle back and say, thank God that didn't work out. Thank you, God. Every time it has looked as if everything was falling apart, in reality, it was falling together. Wild is all I can say. And that is one of the big lessons I have learned in the last 5 years. Maybe one of the most painful lessons, because the tears that I have cried each time something has not worked out, the tears, the distress, the depression, the anxiety that I have endured every time I felt like it was over. Things are never going to happen for me. Why this, why that? And so I'm not going to say it was an easy lesson. It was painful. But perhaps one of the best lessons I have learned over these last 5 years, there is no way I could not put this on the list. Huge, huge, huge. Like, and so I hope this encourages somebody who is listening to me today. I hope this encourages someone who is hearing this. If it looks like everything is falling apart in your life right now and nothing is working out, maybe everything is actually coming together, just not the way you planned it. So hang in there. Cry if you need to cry. I am an advocate for crying. I cry a lot. People are shocked when I say this because I'm a therapist. So I don't know why people think therapists have perfect lives. We do not. We don't. I cry quite often. I think it is therapeutic. If I'm going through something, I give myself the freedom and the space and the time to cry because it helps me. It helps me to get all that negative energy out of my body and just decompress. It's very therapeutic. So I cry and I encourage other people to cry too. So if you need to cry, cry. If you're in pain, who's going to stop you? Nobody should stop you from crying. But let me tell you, when you're done, rise up and keep pushing through and remind yourself that maybe all the things that are not working out for you are actually working out for you, because that has been my experience. Yep. I see Estelin. I need to highlight this comment because that's literally what just came out of my mouth. Thank you, Estelin. Sometimes what didn't work out for you actually worked out for you. Thank you, Queen. That's it. In a nutshell, that's it. That's the lesson. That's lesson number 3 right there. Let me look at a couple other comments before I move to number 4. For Elements United says, the irony of life. Life is a trip. Listen, isn't it? Isn't it? It's something else. Saran says, the hurt is real, but then later on, you realize the bullet or bullets that you escaped. Listen, you need to say this louder for the people in the back of the room. This needs to be a banner, because facts. All right, so let me continue. I don't want this live broadcast to be too long today, so let's push on. So if there's anyone who is just joining, let me quickly recap for your benefit. Today, I'm talking about 5 lessons in 5 years, and this broadcast is essentially a celebration of the 5th anniversary of the Always the Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. On May 29th, last month, the platform turned 5 years old. And so this is an anniversary celebration, so to speak. And I am sharing 5 lessons that I have personally learned over the course of the last 5 years. So lesson 1 was purpose keeps you alive. Lesson 2, loneliness makes you strong. And lesson 3, when things don't work out for you, count it a blessing. So I'm moving on to number 4. The 4th lesson, this is another biggie. And I know my friend Saran, who is in the chat section right now, Dr. Saran King. For those who don't know, she's a medical doctor. And I know she's probably going to have a lot to say about this one. Number 4 is Your Body Keeps the Score. And that is actually the title of a book, which I highly recommend for you to read if you have time to read books, because some people will tell you they don't have time to do a lot of leisure reading. But there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. I have it in my own personal library. It talks about trauma excellent book. And this fourth lesson is actually the title of that book. Your body keeps the score. Now, let me break down what I mean by that. Your body is keeping track of everything that's going on in your head. Don't think that your body and your mind are ever disconnected. They never are. Never, never, never. Every stressor, everything that creates anxiety, everything you worry about, every trauma that you have ever experienced in your life, every tear that you have shed, all the hours that you have spent worried about things or people or situations, all of it is being recorded in your physical body, literally in your body, in your DNA. It's recording everything, everything. And a lot of people don't know this. They think that once the trauma has passed, that it only exists in their memories. It exists in your memories, but also in your physical body. Your body is keeping score of every single thing that is happening or has happened to you. Everything. All the trauma is stored in here. The stress, the anxiety, it's stored in here. All of it. And you believe with all of your heart that once the difficult situation has gone and you've moved on, whatever it is got resolved and you are fine, or maybe whatever the traumatic situation or experience was, it already passed, you survived it, you're good now, and you think to yourself, it's over. I am here to tell you today, it's not over. It's never over until you release it from your physical body. I learned that the hard way. I landed in the emergency room of a hospital not too far from where I live because my body was on the verge of having a stroke. Literally, they rushed me in there and stuck a needle in my arm to get something into my system fast because my brain was preparing in any moment to have a stroke. I literally heard the doctor saying that to the nurses. Get an IV in her arm immediately. This woman is going to have a stroke. And that was me walking around perfectly fine, going about my business, doing my live broadcast, creating content for my platform, seeing my clients, teaching my classes, being all the things. Normal, regular, everyday life. I was feeling fine, except that I wasn't. And one day my body was like, yeah, it's a wrap. Your body is keeping score. You need to pay attention to your body. Everything that your mind goes through, your body goes through it too. And if you do not ensure that you are taking steps to let this trauma and anxiety and stress out of your physical body, it just stays there. It lives there. And it will come back for you when you least expect it. You can get all of that out of your system in a variety of ways. That's a whole other broadcast. And let me tell you now, I'm planning a broadcast about this particular topic. I'm planning a broadcast, which is going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks, about trauma being stored in the body. and what it can do to you, especially as a woman. Trauma being stored in the womb, in particular. That's a whole other topic. I'm not gonna go any further than there because I'm gonna get derailed. That's not today's topic, but it's coming. It's coming. I'm planning that. I'm going to invite a guest on with me who does a lot of work in that area, and we're going to talk about how all the experiences that we go through get stored in our physical bodies and we don't even realize it. And sometimes illness manifests as a result of those things, and we cannot figure out why we are getting sick. Sometimes it is emotional blockage that is causing physical illness in your body. And this is real. I'm coming back to do a broadcast on that. I would look out for it. It's coming. But that is lesson number 4 for today's broadcast. Lesson number 4 is your body keeps the score. Your body keeps the score. Always. Always. That's number 4. I'm going to pause and look at some of your comments again, and then I will go to number 5, which is our last point for today. Okay, so I see Saran is also recommending the book that I was mentioning earlier, The Body Keeps the Score. Highly recommend. Yep. If you do not own a copy of this book, get one. It is an excellent, excellent book which talks about trauma, and it is well written. It's not a lot of highfalutin scientific terminology that is difficult to understand. No, it is written for everybody to read. Anybody who picks this book up can read it. It is clear. It is very, just a very frank uh, exposition of how trauma gets stored in the human body and what it can do when that happens. I think anybody who's interested in trauma should get a copy of this book if you can. Anju says, also so true, and shows the connection to your physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental health. That's it right there. That's it right there. Exactly that. Saran says, even if your conscious mind forgets, sometimes as a trauma response or a protective mechanism, the subconscious mind stores all the files of every experience in our lives forever. She, what can I possibly add to that? She said it perfectly. Exactly that. Exactly that. And if you do not do the work to free your body and your mind of these things, they come back for you. I promise you, they come back to get you. Don't think that if you haven't worked through your traumas and whatever else that they just disappear. They do not disappear. They are stored. And if you continue to ignore them, they will eventually come back for you. That's all. I see hi moi dimples Samuel. De-stressing, taking care of yourself is priority. Could not say it better myself. Exactly what she just said there. That is what we need to be doing and prioritizing it. Absolutely. So on to the final lesson. Lesson number 5. 5 lessons in 5 years. Lesson number 5 is I have learned that I do not have any voids that I need to fill in my life. I have come to the realization that I am full already. And like I said, let me reiterate once again. These are my lessons from my experiences. If you cannot identify or relate to it, that's okay. This is my lesson from my personal experience. And I have come to the realization I don't have any voids. And it took me years to realize this because I have been programmed, I've been culturally programmed and socially programmed to believe, and I bought this wholesale, that I, as a woman, am incomplete, that I did not come to this earth complete, that I came to this earth somehow lacking with voids that I must fill in order to become a complete person. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. And as a result of this programming that I received all through my life, I realize that I have spent my entire life, but more so these last couple of years of my life, trying to fill voids that I had been convinced that I had and needed to fill in order to be a complete and whole person. I was so convinced of this that I developed serious self esteem and self acceptance issues because I felt like I was somehow failing and a failure because the voids that people said that I need to fill were empty. I had not met all of the developmental milestones that they said I should meet. So, what does that mean? That must mean that I'm a failure, right? This was my struggle. This was my struggle for most of my adult life. And at some point during the last 5 years, I woke up to the realization that these voids were not mine. These voids were created by society and had been imposed on me, and I had believed it. I had bought this idea that I am incomplete and that I have voids that I need to fill in my life, that I am not already full and complete, and therefore I must be failing at life in some way because I haven't lived up to all the expectations. And I'm here to say today that I have no voids. I don't have any voids at all. I am 100% complete. Just me. This is a whole, complete, fulfilled, satisfied, accomplished woman sitting right here in front of you. I don't have any voids. Anything or anyone that I choose to add to my life is not added because I need to fill empty spaces to complete myself. I am adding them because they can enhance the complete woman that I already am. And they won't be added unless they can complement the complete woman that I already am. And I don't know why it took me 40 something years to figure this out, so that I could stop feeling like I am somehow not enough. I literally have lived like that, like I'm not enough. Unless I do this, something is wrong with me. Unless I accomplish that, something is wrong with me. Unless I am doing this or getting that or attaining the other, I am somehow flawed and incomplete. Something is wrong with me. Like this was what was ingrained into my psyche. And I have had to do the hard work to free myself from this. Anything that I accomplish going forward, anything I choose to do, anything I choose to work towards, anything I choose to add to my life, any goal I set to for myself, it's not because I'm trying to fill a void or an empty space that will somehow make me a complete person. I am already enough. I am already complete. There is nothing to add here. I have no voids. I am full. I am full. I continue to work on myself every day to show up as the best version of me that I possibly can, and to show up authentically and to use the gifts that God has given me to bless mankind. And that is how I live. And I am full. I am full. I am full of all of the things that have been deposited in me by the Most High when I was sent to this earth. When I came earthside, I came full. I didn't come with any empty spaces. I came full, and I am still full. I have added things and people to my life, but they are not to fill any empty spaces because I don't have empty spaces. I am full. I, on my own, I am enough. I am enough. And it took me 40 something years to figure that out. Listen, I might be a late bloomer, but better late than never, right? And that is lesson number 5. That's lesson number 5. I see Saran is sharing some comments here. Let me highlight one or two of them. That's how we are socialized as women, that we need this and that to make us a complete woman. Example, get a degree, build a house, get married, have a child, get a job, and the list goes on. That's it right there, Saran. That's it. That's it. I have actually not accomplished most of the things on that list. Um, and so I don't know. I think this may be the reason why many of us walk around feeling like we are not enough because we haven't met the milestones. Um, but I am here to tell you today, you are enough. You're enough. You came here enough. And you can continue working on yourself and adding to your life. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But don't do it because you feel like you are not enough. Do it because you believe that whatever you're adding or whoever you're adding will enhance the person that you already are. Because the person you already are is enough. That's the lesson. That's the takeaway. You are complete and whole, just like Saran typed it right here. You are complete and whole. You are. And if you don't feel like it right now, like this is hard for you to even wrap your brain around because you have just believed the opposite for so long, it's okay. I was there. Most of us at some point, we were there. You just have to start getting up every day and reprogramming your own mind and rewiring your own brain to think differently about yourself. You are enough. You are complete and whole. You do not have any voids. You did not come here with voids. You came here complete and whole. Anything you add is just an enhancement. And anything you choose not to add, that's okay too. You do not need to add anything that you do not wish to add. And not having added the things that people think you should have added does not make you less of a person. It doesn't. You are complete and whole. Full stop. That's it. Right? Let's see. Estelin says anything that is stored for future use, whether that use is beneficial or detrimental. Storage has a purpose. This is, Estelin is here with all the facts today. Anything that is stored for some use. This takes us back to the point that I made previously about the body storing everything that happens to your mind. And why is it storing that information? Ask yourself that question. Why is it storing it? Especially if it was negative. Why is it storing it? Storage has a purpose. And Estelin is pointing out that sometimes it's beneficial and sometimes it's detrimental. Herein lies the reason to do this work on yourself, to free yourself from past traumas that may be hanging out in your body and in your subconscious mind. And you think that you have moved past them, and perhaps in reality, you have not. And there is still some work to be done. Yeah, the body keeps the score, right? So, we are now at the end of today's broadcast. Thank you all so very, very much. I have so many things to thank you for. My followers, the people who are here in the chat section interacting with me, those of you who are watching silently, because there are a lot more people watching that are not in the chat section. They are just, my silent viewers. I see you, I can see you on here. And I thank you. Thank you for motivating me. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for helping me to walk in my purpose, because purpose gives me life and has on many occasions literally kept me alive. Thank you for your continued support of this platform. Thank you for your support of me personally outside of the platform. Many of you reach out to me outside of the Always a Queen platform just to see how I am doing. I appreciate you. I truly do. Thank you. Thank you for being my community. Thank you for being my family. Oh, no, I'm going to cry again. Thank you so much. I appreciate every last one of you, whether you are in the chat section or you're just listening quietly and you send me a message outside of the broadcast to say that was a great show. Listen, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you to all the persons who from time to time join me on the broadcast as my guests to talk about your various areas of expertise. Thank you. I appreciate you all. And all I can add now is the best is yet to come. I have lots of plans for the platform. As you can see, I decided to rebrand for the 5th anniversary. The logo has been changed. All of my branding has been changed completely. I hope you like the new branding. I tried to be as intentional as I could be with the branding. I want the platform to truly represent who I am and what I want to bring to other people's lives. And so the branding is now really targeted towards that. I hope you love all of it. Thank you, Serene. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here and for supporting me all the way through. And I encourage you guys to look out and listen out for what's coming. I took a long break from doing live broadcasts and so on, and during that time, I was really just trying to just re-envision what I want this platform to become. And so I am now slowly starting to bring what I was re envisioning to life. So stay with me and watch for more because there is more to come. And yeah, the best is yet to come. That is all I will say. I see some of you are saying that you love the new look. Thank you, Anju. Thank you, Saran. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right. So, on that note, I'm going to end tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much for being here with me. And as usual, you know how I say, be a beautiful week. Bye, everyone.